Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a really long time since I posted a video, but life has been crazy. Busy with the kids, and then my iPad broke, so I had nothing to film with, but I have replaced that. So I am bringing you guys this video today on how to make a multicolor ribbon trim tutu using a crochet waistband. For the waistband, I purchased this crochet on a roll in a turquoise color from Hobby Lobby. This one was actually on sale for 74 cents, which was a steal. Otherwise, I would normally buy this on the week that it's 50% off. So you want to buy this. It comes on a roll. They're super, super stretchy. I will leave a tutu size chart in the description box, but you want to make sure that when cutting your crochet waistband, you cut it at least 3 to 4 inches smaller than the waistband size that's recommended. Now I hand sewed mine in the back, but you can use a serger if you wish. I just found it easier to sew it by hand. For my actual tool, I did count all of the holes and determined that for each color, I would need 7 rows of that color. So I've already spaced it out so that I can make sure all of my colors are evenly distributed throughout the tutu. So I've already spaced my purple and my pink and my blue. Now I'm just going to briefly show you guys or do a recap on how to attach the tulle. So I'm taking 2 strips of tulle, and this will add to the thickness of the tutu and so that it is more opaque and not as transparent. You want to fold it in half long ways and then fold it in half again. Then I use my fingers to twist in the middle, and this helps to keep my tulle strips even when I am feeding them through the holes. So to insert, I'm going to go in the hole above and come out of the hole below, just like we do with our tutu dresses. Then I have a loop, and I gently pull my strips through. Don't pull too tight or it will roll, and then the crochet band will come out in the front. So just be very gentle when you are pulling. Now keep in mind, as you continue to add tulle to the crochet waistband, the waistband will stretch. That's why I highly, highly recommend to cut your waistband 3 to 4 inches smaller than the waistband size that you need. So I'm just going to show you with the purple. So I want to show you guys a closer look. I'm going to go in the middle hole, come out the bottom, tie my slip knot, and gently pull. And you're going to do this for the first layer for all of your colors. Now you can obviously make the same tutu with any color combination that you wish. But I'm going to go through and add all the rest of my colors, and I'll be back to show you guys the second layer. I finished adding all of the colors for my first layer. Now we can move on to our second layer, and it's going to be exactly how we make our tutu dresses. Taking 2 strips of tulle, I'm folding it in half long ways or hot dog style, and then folding it in half again, hamburger style, twisting in the middle with my fingers. And now I'm going to be going into the hole above where my knot is, and then I'm coming out below through the same hole where the first knot is. So you can see here it's coming out of the same hole. And this is how you add your second layer. So I'm just going to tie my slip knot through the loop, gently tug, and then continue filling in for the rest of your colors. And now we have our full fluffy tutu. You can see what a difference that second layer makes. So I'm just rotating to show you guys all of these beautiful colors. And so now we can move on to sewing our ribbon. For the ribbon, I am using a 7/8 inch grosgrain ribbon in each color of my tulle. So I have a 7/8 inch grosgrain hot pink, orange, lime or apple green, yellow, turquoise, and purple. And I did purchase each of my ribbons on different sites, but my favorite site to get ribbon from is giftsinternational.com. Just keep in mind that they do take a while to ship. So sometimes if I'm in a pinch, the fastest option for me is papermart.com. So have your ribbons for each color, and then for the gold ribbon that's going to go on top, I purchased that ribbon from Hobby Lobby. And I got these on a week that they were 50% off, so each of these rolls ended up being $1. And I think this is 3/8 inch, if I'm not mistaken. For the sewing part, I'm going to do my best to verbally explain to you guys what my process is. I unfortunately don't have an above angle shot to show you guys clearly, but what I'm doing here is taking my first ribbon color and I'm pulling out a good, decent amount of that ribbon. Make sure you always heat seal your ends. You don't want any fraying on any ribbon whatsoever. So I've heat sealed my end here. And then bringing my tutu over, this part here is the top, and you want to flip it over because we are going to be working with the top layer first. So the easiest way to do that is to flip it over, and you're kind of working upside down. With the tutu flipped over, I'm just separating out the color that I'm working with, just so that you guys can see this easier. Excuse me. And then I'm going to separate the top from the bottom layer. So I'm just going through my knots and separating the two layers. And we're working with the top layer. Just remember that the tutu is flipped upside down for this part. All right, so each knot has two sides. You're starting with the first knot, and then you want to take the side that's closest to the machine, and then just kind of work in order. So I'm taking the end of my tool, and then I'm adding that to the back of the ribbon. So we're sewing, or our view is the back of the ribbon. You can see that it's curling towards me. So the part that's underneath is the outside of the ribbon, which is the part that you want to show when your tutu is done. So we're sewing on the inside of the ribbon, and we're just doing a straight stitch for this. So I'm going to do a straight stitch and then a little back stitch, and then finish sewing through that first piece of tulle. Then you'll take your second piece of tulle and add that in as well. So I'm adding in the second piece of tulle and continuing to sew. Now for your tulle pieces, you don't need to completely open the ends. You can leave them folded. I actually find that if you completely open the ends, it ends up being too much ribbon for the tutu and weighs it down, and it becomes really heavy and bulky and not as bouncy and as fluffy with less ribbon. So here's a better view of what that ends up looking like. It's just a straight stitch down the middle. And then you want to continue adding or finishing that color for that top first layer. I have finished that first layer of the pink, so I'm just going to remove that from my sewing machine. Make sure you backstitch when you finish there as well. Cut where the ribbon ends, excuse me, and heat seal. Again, always heat seal your ribbon. Now, so that I don't have to change my ribbon thread twice for the same color, I'm going to move on to the bottom layer. Remember, again, our tutu is flipped over, so now we're working on the bottom layer in the same exact way that we did the first layer. Sometimes it's a struggle to get all of the tulle out of the way. So I'm just taking the knot closest to my machine and starting over again exactly as we did with the first one. So do that for the second layer, and then I'll show you how we add in our second color. For my second color, I'm moving on to purple, so I did change my ribbon thread to purple as well as my bobbin. Now you could sew all of the colors with a white thread, and especially for the top layer, since we're adding a gold on top of it, then it would hide if you used a white thread, at least for that top layer, but you would see the white thread on the second layer. So I just prefer to use the same color thread for the ribbon that I'm using, just so that it's professional looking and has a nice finished look. Now, when you're sewing ribbon, your tutu is going to be super disheveled and out of whack and all kinds of craziness. But at the end, I will show you guys how to fix all of that. I have my tutu flipped over and I've separated my top from my bottom layer of the purple knots. So we're working with the top one, taking the knot closest to the pink. And again, remember it has two sides, so I'm working with one side at a time. Make sure you're working with the top layer of pink. You don't want to attach this to your bottom layer that you did. So taking my purple ribbon, I've already heat sealed that. I'm going to layer my purple tulle right on top. And remember, we're laying that on top of the inside of the ribbon. And then right here, I should have shown you guys to actually add the pink on top of the purple, not underneath, because then the purple thread is gonna show on the pink ribbon. But either way it works, just sandwich them together so that you have a continuous thread and so that there's no separation between the ribbon. So let me just move you guys closer. So you can see here, I've sandwiched my pink with my purple ribbon. I'm going to add that under my presser foot together and sew all the way through that first piece of purple tulle. And then remember to do a little back stitch whenever you start so that your thread doesn't come undone. And finish sewing through that first piece of tulle and then just keep adding. So you can see here the two pieces are connected, but do you see what I'm talking about? That the purple ribbon is showing on top of the pink. If you did the pink behind the purple ribbon, then you wouldn't see that part, but we're going to cover that with gold anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but just so that you guys know for future reference. Just continue adding your tulle until you finish with that entire first layer of purple, and then you'll do the same exact thing with the second layer. I finished both of my layers and I just want to show you guys how it connects. So you can see here the purple and the pink are connected together. Same with the bottom layer. You want to do this with all the rest of your colors, changing your ribbon thread with a color that matches. So then I would be moving on to my blue and doing the same exact process that I did with the pink and the purple. Just so you guys can see here, this is what I meant by putting the previous color on top of the new color, so that when you're sewing with the new thread color, it's going to show on the correct piece of ribbon and it won't show on the purple one. So I have that sandwiched, and I'm just going to add that in and then continue sewing through that blue layer and doing the same thing with the bottom. And then again, you'll repeat this with every color. Now to add our gold ribbon, I finished with all of my colors. So we're going to take that 3/8 inch gold ribbon and add that to the top layer. Now for this project, I'll need about 3 to 4 rolls of this. There's 10 yards on each roll. So it really just depends on how big or how small your tutu is. And we're only doing this on the top layer. You're more than welcome to do it on the bottom as well, but for the look that we're going for, it's really only necessary for the top layer. So I'm just separating that out, flipping my tutu over and working with the top. I have my gold ribbon here and I'm adding that to the middle of my 7/8 inch ribbon color. So you can see here it's right in the middle and we're going to be sewing right down the middle. Now this process I'm going to explain to you guys a little bit differently because you're basically sewing blind because you can't see the gold ribbon underneath while you're sewing it. So I want to show you guys my little tip for that. So I've lined it up in the middle of my pink ribbon, and I have my needle and thread lined up in the middle as well. So I want to get that under my presser foot and secure first, do a little stitch so that it stays in place. And then here, I'll show you guys how I continue to keep that thread or that ribbon in the middle. So what I do is I actually look underneath. So I lift my ribbon. I check that my gold ribbon is in the middle of my needle. And then I take little sections at a time and I hold it tight underneath so that it's in the middle of my ribbon. And if you're sewing a straight line, then this won't be a problem. So then you just sew straight until you've completed that little section that you're holding on to, and continue that process all the way through. Now for the gold ribbon, we're not going to be changing our thread color, and I'm using white because I did run out of my gold ribbon, but the white actually does not show because this is a gold glitter ribbon, so it works perfectly fine. And as you can see there, I just keep taking little sections, holding it tight, and sewing in a straight line. So you can see my line here. And if you were sewing in a straight line before, then you're basically just sewing on top of your previous thread stitch. And don't worry about any of the threads, we'll be clipping all of those off at the end. So just keep sewing in small sections, and you're going to continuously sew the gold ribbon through every color, so we're not switching thread color. And then here you can see the final product. Throughout the sewing process, your gold ribbon spool would run out, so then you just take another spool of that gold ribbon and add it in. So I want to show you guys how I clean up the tutu. This realistically is what it looks like when you're done sewing. So the first thing I do is clip off all of my loose hanging threads, and I check for them as well as I'm going through and straightening everything out. I like to start with my bottom layer. Now the mannequin that I have here is a 2T. This tutu is a size 6T, so it keeps falling off. I've just hung it up on top a little higher so that it won't, and I can show you guys how to straighten everything out. So I'm just taking my hands and kind of creating like little loops, and I'm pulling down gently on it so that I can pull down any tulle that's bunched up at the top, and then going through every color. This is also the same thing you would want to do to revive an old tutu. So, excuse me, guys, I have this like nagging bronchitis cough that I've had for a few months and it won't go away. So here I have some threads. I'm just going to clip those off. But yes, as I mentioned, you can revive old tutus in the same way. A lot of people think that, when they get all messy, which they do, that's just the nature of the tutu, that they have to be thrown away or they're no good anymore. Not true. You can absolutely revive it. I've actually have a few customers who have been wearing their same tutu for years. So you can definitely keep them for years as long as you take good care of them and store them properly and not just bunched up in a toy box somewhere. I'm just doing exactly what I did with the bottom layer for the top. Now this gold ribbon that I use is kind of crunchy. It's a hard glitter ribbon, so it does kind of make these little ripples in the ribbon, but the overall look is not affected by that. So just wanted to make you guys aware that these little ripples that you're seeing in the ribbon is because the gold ribbon is a thicker, more rough ribbon. So I'm just doing this, making my little loops, straightening out the tulle on top, and you'll want to do that for the entire tutu. And there she is, all finished and straightened out. Absolutely love this style of tutu. They're great for holidays or any color combination that you can think of. Now for this one, I did add some rhinestones to the tulle, and I didn't show that process, but you can see it in my thumbnail picture. I just added some hot glue to the back of rhinestones and pressed those into the tulle by hand. You can add a bow or whatever you want, really, just make it your own. And for this order, I did include a shirt, a custom print then cut vinyl shirt. I'll do a separate video on how I make those, but if you guys have any special requests, leave a comment below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. Don't forget to share this channel. I would love to keep growing it and building on it. I have a lot of video ideas for you guys, so I'm happy to be back, and thanks for watching.